It takes your brain exactly 1/10 of a second to decide whether it trusts a total stranger. Faster than you can blink, faster than you can think. Before you've even registered a face, some ancient part of you has already made the call. Think about the last time you walked into a room full of people you didn't know. Maybe a job interview, maybe a party where you knew nobody. You scanned the room, and without even trying, you already liked some faces more than others. You couldn't explain why. You just knew. Except you didn't know anything. Not really. In the early 2000s, psychologist Alexander Todorov at Princeton ran a series of experiments that changed how scientists understood first impressions. He showed people photographs of unfamiliar faces for just 1/10 of a second, sometimes even less, and asked them to rate how trustworthy, competent, or likable each person seemed. The judgments came back instantly. And here's the unsettling part. Giving people more time to look didn't change their minds. It only made them more confident in a snap decision they'd already made. Your brain isn't reading someone's character in that moment. It's reading their face shape. Todorov's research found that trustworthiness judgments track surprisingly closely with features that resemble emotional expressions. Faces with slightly upturned mouths or wider eyes get read as warmer, safer, kinder. Faces with lower brows or thinner lips get read as colder, even hostile. None of this has anything to do with who the person actually is. So why would evolution wire you this way? Why would it hand you a judgment machine this fast and this unreliable? Because for most of human history, 1/10 of a second was sometimes all you had. Anthropologists studying small foraging societies, the kind of groups your ancestors lived in for hundreds of thousands of years, point out that early humans rarely encountered true strangers. Robin Dunbar, the anthropologist famous for calculating the cognitive limits of human social groups, argued that our ancestors mostly lived, hunted, and raised children inside tight bands of maybe 150 people, tops. Everyone recognized everyone. A new face at the edge of camp wasn't just unusual, it was potentially dangerous. It could be a rival group. It could be a threat to your food, your children, your life. There was no time for careful analysis, no slow, rational weighing of evidence. Natural selection didn't reward the most accurate face readers, it rewarded the fastest ones. A slightly wrong snap judgment that kept you alive beat a slow, careful judgment that got you killed. This is where it gets even stranger. Psychologist Nalini Ambady spent years studying what she called thin slicing, the mind's ability to form accurate impressions from tiny slivers of behavior, sometimes just a few seconds of video with the sound turned off. Her research found that people could predict things like a teacher's effectiveness or a doctor's likelihood of being sued for malpractice just from watching brief silent clips. Not perfectly, but far better than chance. So your brain's obsession with instant judgment isn't entirely useless. It's just wildly overconfident. It evolved for a world of 150 familiar faces, not a world of subway cars, dating apps, and video calls with people on other continents. Today you meet more new faces in a single scroll through your phone than your ancestors met in a lifetime. And that ancient 1/10 of a second machine is still running, still voting on every single one. That's why you felt instant, inexplicable comfort around someone you just met, and instant, inexplicable unease around someone who's never done anything wrong to you. That's not intuition. That's not a sixth sense. That's 100,000 years of survival pressure, compressed into a flicker of judgment your conscious mind never gets to review. And it doesn't stop at faces. The same instant machinery fires on a voice over the phone, a name on a screen, even the font of an email signature. Anything that resembles a signal your ancestors once used to sort friend from threat gets swept up into the same 1/10 of a second verdict, accurate or not. Next time you meet someone new, notice the feeling that arrives before the thought does. Notice how fast it comes, how certain it feels, how little evidence it's actually built on. Because it takes your brain exactly 1/10 of a second to decide whether it trusts a total stranger, and the truth is, it was never really deciding about them at all. It was deciding about a version of the world that stopped existing 100,000 years ago.
Don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up.